Let's do this. Mike. Mike, hey, I'm a fan of, Sargon of Akkad, the Atheist Rue, all those guys. And they do a good job of looking at the Young Turks and stuff like that. But um, not to say that Mike is the biggest offender, but their shit can suck sometimes. Like, racism is alive and well in the gay community. All right, let's do this. And just so you know, this is the first time I've watched this video. These are my honest, earnest reactions. Let's do this.
Gay men have pride parades, gay bars, and drag queens because trans women of color fought for our rights in the 60s. And I know those women didn't risk their lives so a bunch of Draco Malfoy looking ass twink ass bro grinder could fuck it up in 2016.
Wow, someone has anger issues. I don't know if you could get all that, but let's try that again.
Gay men have pride parades, gay bars, and drag queens because trans women of color fought for our rights in the 60s. And I know those women didn't risk their lives so a bunch of Draco Malfoy looking ass twinks and masked bros on Grindr could fuck it up in 2016.
So he's mad at other gay men. He's mad at other gay men for quote unquote messing it up in 2016. Racism is alive and well in the gay community. So there's this intersection here, intersectionality, where I guess gay and race is going to collide. Let's do this with Gabe Gonzalez, who I'm guessing is part of the gay community. Is he going to represent the gay community? Is he the legitimate representative of the gay community, or is Milo? He's mad at these. What do you call him? A twink, and he called him. I'm going to guess a bear. And you must be. I don't know what you are. Big ears. And look, I'm not one to talk, but I notice it. My call, like I see it. So you are the legitimate representative. All gay men are going to agree with you. Let's hear what all gay men say because of Gabriel Gonzalez.
In 2016. Nothing more clearly illustrates that racism is alive and well in the gay community than this election season. Don't believe me? Ask the gays. For Trump. Like a rich Zed.
This is interesting because I can already tell, right? So gays for Trump. And look, I'm not a Trump fan. I'm not to say I don't want to get into it, right? Like, I'm not saying Hillary is the best. She's certainly flawed. I'm very similar to Sam Harris on this in that I think Trump is an idiot, but I'm not going to knock someone for being against Trump, and I also don't think that someone's identity should predict who they're going to vote for, right? If we're going to say, okay, and this election has been that, right? This election says all blacks and Latinos have to vote this way, all white men have to vote this way, white men who are educated will vote this way, all women with education will vote this way, if you live in these cities, you're going to vote this way. It's become, people's identity should not define their politics necessarily, right? I can see where they can intermix, but it doesn't have to be that way. So this guy's already pissed because here is a gay man who dares to support Trump, who, if I recall, I think at the Republican National Convention, there was a moment where there was cheering for Republican gays, and Trump said, "See, this makes me happy." And again, this is not to say that Trump is a great candidate or a great person, and who knows, could even in private say probably some pretty nasty shit about gays. But that doesn't mean that if you're gay, you're not allowed to agree with him on certain things. Well, here, I jumped ahead.
Yeah,
I jumped ahead because I know exactly what's going to happen.
Island, the alt-right has penetrated the hearts of some impressionable young men.
The alt-right has penetrated the minds of impressionable young men. I mean, aren't all young minds impressionable? Haven't they all been, right? I mean, like, what are you doing right now, right? What is your job?
Twinks with a penchant for harassing successful black comedians or purchasing followers on Twitter have become the fresh new face on the same reliable racism of yesteryear.
So this is so interesting. That's the second time he referred to him as a twink, which maybe that's fine. Maybe that's like, two black people referring to each other as the N-word. I know I would not refer to another gay man as a twink just because I feel like that would be taken the wrong way. But I suppose internally, maybe Milo even says, yes, I'm a twink. I have no idea. I just think it seems like he's putting it out there, and certainly the buying Twitter. Some of this is obviously like petty jabs. Petty jabs. Not a real point, just petty jabs being made here. Let's listen to these petty jabs again.
Overgrown twinks with a penchant for harassing successful black comedians or purchasing followers on Twitter have become the fresh new face on the same reliable racism of yesteryear.
Black Lives Matter doesn't really care about black lives. People are killed by police about as often as they're struck by lightning, but I don't see many protests about storms.
So look, those I don't even think that was racist, right? I mean, Black Lives Matter doesn't care about black lives. You could argue against it. You could argue against it for sure, but I don't think that there was anything racial in that. And the second part, you're just about as likely to be killed by cops as a lightning storm. Probably statistically true. I'm not looking it up. I don't think it's the greatest argument against Black Lives Matter, but I don't think it's racist to say that, right? Is that racist? Is it? I can't imagine that that's racist. Again, not the strongest arguments. You could argue against them if you really want, but I don't think the argument is you're racist. You're a twink and you're racist. Sorry, Milo, you're a twink and you're racist. Although that outfit really, well, that's Milo's thing, whatever.
Checked, we can't prevent lightning, we don't pay for it with our tax dollars, and clouds weren't caught on camera racially profiling people or shooting unarmed civilians. Oh, and while we're on the topic, you're actually 4 times more likely to be killed by lightning than a terrorist. But I don't see us bombing the shit out of storms. Gaycism is an...
Well, Gaycism, we're gonna have to go into Gaycism. But look, like I said, you could argue against these things. I don't even think that's the greatest, the lightning thing is the greatest argument against Black Lives Matter. I think that just the idea that it separates us and turns us into identity politics by nature is the problem with Black Lives Matter. And look, let's go back. I want to hear this again, right? So obviously, yeah, no one's saying that storms are a problem, right? Because this is where obviously the real argument that Milo is not talking about is black on black crime, right? And again, nobody is saying that when a cop kills an unarmed black man, that it's a good thing, right? What most people are saying is what are the circumstances in that situation, right? Was this person armed? What was the context in which the police officer took them over, right? I mean, I think there have been only 16 unarmed cases this year, and some of those are situations where the person was actually actively violent or heading towards access towards a gun or something like that. So it's not like this is happening. Black Lives Matter definitely blows it out of proportion, but I want to get back. So I don't want to get caught up in trying to quibble the back and forth of this, because the real video here is about whether or not there is racism in the gay community, and that argument has not been made. What has been made here is a defense, at best, a defense of Black Lives Matter, and I don't even think a very good one. It wasn't a good argument against Black Lives Matter. The defense of it is not that great either. But that doesn't mean that someone is racist just because. I guess it comes down to this: if a gay man does not support Black Lives Matter, does that make him racist? It seems to be implying that to not support Black Lives Matter equals being racist, and I don't buy that. Right? Let's listen.
Civilians. Oh, and while we're on the topic, you're actually 4 times more likely to be killed by lightning than a terrorist. But I don't see us bombing the shit out of storms. Gaycism isn't always as obvious as it is in politics.
Gaycism is not always as obvious. Gaycism, gay racism. Is all racism have to, so like white racism is wacism and black racism will be blacism? Latino racism, lacism? Does everybody get their own unique? Oh no, sorry. Only white people can be racist, right? Only white gays can be racist, probably. I don't know. That just seems. It's cute. I get it. Gaycism. It's very cute. Good play on words, but I don't really buy it.
Biases more quietly pervade our personal preferences. We've all met him, the no fats, no femmes, no Asians guy. So you'll be like, "Bae, why are you a bigot?" And he'll be like, "What do you mean?" And you'll be like, "You're making generalizations based off race." And he'll be like, "It's just a preference." Liking almond milk in my latte is a preference. Making a preemptive decision about somebody based solely on their racial or ethnic identity is racism. Right?
Whoa, okay, so he went from, so we left Black Lives Matter and we went to, if you don't find a certain race attractive, you're racist. I don't buy this either, right? I mean, and funny enough, a preference, right? I mean, think about this, right? If if it's just a preference, right? Hold on, I want to find the right way to articulate this. If you find a certain race attractive or unattractive, that's totally fine, right? I mean, it is a choice. You are not obligated to you're not obligated to be attracted to people, right? I mean, is that what it's coming to? Because equality of outcome, you must be equally attracted. The thought police are going to make you attracted to certain people, right? You must be equally attracted to a fat person as a skinny person, a black person as a white person, or a Latino or Asian or whatever. I mean, can't you just have certain preferences? I mean, what is a kink, right? Right. Well, let's say I only want people. Let's say his gay friend said, I only like people with really nice feet. He's got a feet thing. And you say, whoa, 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 what are you saying? If someone doesn't have nice feet, you can't like them? That's a generalization, right? And I get it, right? It's a generalization of feet, a generalization of race. But look, sex is not something that necessarily needs to be equalized or overthought, right? Certain people just have certain things that get them off. And I don't think it's fair for you to then throw a racism card at them, right? Oh, you don't like certain people with certain hair? How dare you, good sir? Right? Making a preemptive decision about someone based solely, it's not a preemptive decision. It's their preference. They've already figured it out. I mean, look, sex is going to drive people into all kinds of different ways. If someone is curious about it, they're going to go into it. But if they don't, it's because they've thought about it. Believe me, everybody thinks about everything, right? And then they've decided it's not for them. Right? And that becomes their preference. Are you saying that once you've made that, let's say this person did actually have sex with someone of a different race, and then they just decided, look, I just can't do it. I can't keep it up. I'm just not enjoying myself. I like the creamy skin, whatever it is, right? Are you really gonna shame them for that? You'd think that the gay community, the LGBT community, would not shame people for having certain sexual desires, right? Some of it might be even out of their control, you might argue, right? I mean, to the extent that people's sexual preferences are perhaps, a result of, their mother and father and the way they look and behave and et cetera, right? I don't know. I'm not going to go Freudian on this, but like, it just feels kind of thought policey to say that you have to be equally attracted to all races, right? And if you're not equally attracted to all races, you've gotten enough of your own experience to know that you're attracted to certain races and not attracted to other races. That becomes a preference, and you can articulate that preference out loud and say, actually, I have found that historically I prefer this kind of race and not that kind of race. Boom, you must be a racist. You're not allowed to say that. You're not allowed to think that. That just seems so strange to me. Let's keep going. But this is bullshit.
Is racism. Writing not into blacks or only into white guys has become normalized and almost acceptable on apps.
Yeah, it's a good way. Cut through the bullshit, right? I mean, in some respects, it's actually a weird kind of courtesy, right? Like, like why just saying not into blacks or not into whites or whatever. It's like, hey, white guys or black guys or whatever, right? I'm probably not going to find you attractive. And rather than approach me and then me have to reject you, I'm just letting you know it's not even about you. It's not even a personal thing. I just have found historically that I'm not attracted to certain races. And you know what? Most of those guys, I bet you if you look, everybody's got some. It's not like that's 100%, right? Like if I'm someone that doesn't like black women, right, and fucking Beyonce comes up, of course, every man, right, is gonna fucking jump at that opportunity, right? Or I'm trying to think of an attractive, I don't know who's a really hot gay black guy. The guy from Grey's Anatomy, the one with the really great green eyes, right? Like, if you're not into black guys, but that guy comes on you, of course you're gonna be into him, right? But 9 times out of 10, you're not going to be into the average black guy. And so you're just sort of saying, hey, 99% of you, I'm not going to be into you. Forewarning, rejection ahead, right? That doesn't mean that you're never going to be open to the idea. It just means you're trying to save a little bit of heartache for those guys and a little bit of your own time. It's just a common courtesy.
Scruff or grinder. Studies from Seattle, Washington to Sydney, Australia show that sexual racism is a real phenomenon, and it affects real people who feel unwanted or undesirable.
Yeah, but what are you saying again, that they have to be wanted or desired? Are you saying that people have to want them and desire them? Like people have to find them sexually attractive? You must have sex with these people? Is that what? I mean, I don't find men attractive at all, right? If I'm on a dating site, can I say no men? Is that wrong? And no black men, right? I mean, am I racist? Am I sexist if I don't find men attractive? Am I racist if I don't find certain women attractive? Again, I'm not required by anybody's standard to find all people equally attractive, and I can make certain inferences off of my experience of who I have and haven't found attractive in the past. It's not even that complicated of a concept. It's a quote-unquote type. Everybody's got a quote-unquote type.
They've even had a chance to say hello. We can't claim to be for equality if we show up for marriage and not Black lives. We can't march with pride if we can't remember Marsha or Sylvia. It won't get better for queer youth of color until we identify and dismantle the ways we've normalized racism. So step it up, gay boys! 2016's been a hot fucking mess.
This guy speaks for all of you. This guy's commanding his gay legion. His gay legion.
But that doesn't mean you have to be.